Good morning, this is Penny Ferguson, a living leader. I want to share a story with you today that I have read before, but I want to just talk about it a little bit differently. And it's from one of my favourite books, Chicken Soup for the Soul. If you want to be inspired, and just read a story from it and it'll set your day out beautifully. A friend of ours was walking down a deserted Mexican beach at sunset. As he walked along, he began to see another man in the distance. As he grew nearer, he noticed that the local native kept leaning down, picking something up and throwing it out into the water. Time and again, he kept hurling things out into the ocean. As our friend approached even closer, he noticed the man was picking up starfish that had been washed up on the beach, and one at a time he was throwing them back into the water. Our friend was puzzled. He approached the man and said, "Good evening, friend. I was wondering what you're doing." "Throwing these starfish back into the ocean. See, it's low tide right now, and all of these starfish have been washed up onto the shore. If I don't throw them back into the sea, they'll die up here from lack of oxygen." "I understand," my friend replied. "There must be thousands of starfish on this beach. You can't possibly get to all of them. There are simply too many. And don't you realise this is probably happening on hundreds of beaches all up and down the coast? Can't you see you can't possibly make a difference?" The local native smiled, bent down and picked up yet another starfish, and as he threw it back onto the sea, he replied, "Made a difference to that one." Now I want to read you a message that I had, a lovely message I had. I was asked to go and do a speaking engagement quite recently, and I got this lovely email afterwards, and I thought I'd like to share it with you and then talk about this. "I found what you said really insightful from a business and family perspective. During the conference, my son messaged me to ask if he could download Snapchat. My previous response would have been to lecture him on the risks of social media and to try and protect him from this. But as a result of listening to you, I took a different approach. I asked questions and I listened. He's very sensible and knows how to behave online and what the risks are. To be honest, probably better than me. And so he now has Snapchat, and I returned from Birmingham to a happier son and no hostility. Thank you." So those two things to me are saying the same thing. Can we make a difference one person at a time? Just by us doing something a little bit different, how many people could we impact? All he did was, rather than saying, no, you can't do this, because all of his instincts were, oh no, that's going to be dangerous, that could cause problems. He did something different. He listened. And he listened to see how much his son understood, how much he had thought it through, how careful he could really be. So he actually impacted himself, because when he went home to a happy son. He impacted his son, who felt that he was being valued and listened to and his opinion really considered, and probably to his wife. Because as opposed to having a husband and son at each other's throats, it was a lovely, pleasant evening. So I really want you to just this week think about, how can I make a difference to one person's life? How can I learn to be proactive rather than reactive? Because sometimes, because of, can be caring, can be all sorts of reasons, somebody comes to us for advice, or somebody tells us something we don't like, and we react very quickly. We don't in any way widen that gap between stimulus and response. And so what we do is we just become reactive rather than think, what's the most useful thing I could do here? How can I make a difference to this person's life? Obviously, I'm talking about a positive difference, not a negative difference. So what is it that I could say or do? Or how can I behave in a way that makes a difference to that person's life? So that for whatever reason, it may be only one person. Somebody is obviously unhappy, so I choose to sit and listen to them rather than just put it away. So when I get back from work and I may have had a really tough day or challenging day, and rather than going in and not giving any attention to anybody, saying, I'm going to choose to sit down and just listen to my partner or listen to what their day is about. How can I make a difference to each person in my life? So sometimes things can seem a bit overwhelming. There's so many things where we just sit back and think, I can't make a difference here. I'm one person. It's not possible. I can't make a difference. But if every one of us believed that we could absolutely know that we could make a positive difference to one person's life every day, and think of the impact that that can have, because that one person then behaves differently. Just really think about the impact that we could have in just making our lives and the people whose lives we touch just that little bit better. So I just wanted to share that with you today, and thank you. I'm not going to name the person, you might not like it, but I do thank the person who was kind enough to send me that message. It meant a lot to me that just from a 20-minute talk on stage, it resonated enough for him to do something differently and see the impact. So that was really great for me. I loved it. And it was lovely that somebody took the trouble also to bother to message me and tell me. So that was really nice. Now, I'm going to finish today by also saying, please recognize that when I do these every week, it's really important to me to know that what I'm sharing with you has value or is useful. And I'm here if anybody would like to send me some questions and say, I'd really like to know about this, or how might you handle this situation, whatever it is. Don't hear that I'm the fountain of wisdom that's going to get it right. All I can do is share with you, based on my considerable experience all around personal leadership, how I might choose to deal with it. So please send me the questions. It will be really, really useful. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. It's nice to be here again. And I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Have a great week. This is Penny Ferguson, a living leader.